to those that were already with us yesterday for the newly appointed officer sessions. And I'm pleased to also welcome those that are with us only today. Today is really meant to give you an update of the recent developments that have taken place at CEN CENELEC level over the last couple of years since we had the last technical body officer seminar. Given the circumstances, as you know, this year we are required to have it online, but we hope that you find nonetheless the session useful, informative, and don't hesitate to ask questions. Also, of course, not only during not necessarily during this event, but also afterwards. I'm trying to move the slide. Voilà. Yeah. So why is it important for you to be here? And we hope that really you enjoy that you enjoyed, because really this session is to give you the latest tools and tips related to the novelties that have been introduced and that have an impact, especially for the technical committee's work. There are some highlights on the standardization principles that are at the core basis of all our activities. And of course, it allows you also to meet in this case only virtually, but at least to get to know the people in CCMC that can support you with the different specific topics. As you know, in the CEN CENELEC Management Center, we are around 85 people that are there to support you and help you in your work as technical body officers and experts, and to guide you throughout the development of the standards. Around half of those 85 people are those that really are the key contact point for the for the technical committees. As you know, we have sectorial project managers that are structured in and organized in a sectorial unit according to, of course, the areas of the different technical committees. We have then a team that is in charge of the editing and finalization of the document. That is the team on digital solution. And you will see that this morning you will meet some of those people as well. And in this team, there is also a person that is responsible, and some of you might have by now being in contact with them, that is responsible also for the digital project. And of course, there is also the team that is responsible for the technical boards. And actually, I believe that the speakers that you will hear this morning, the first speakers, are indeed part of this team, and they will guide you through the recent decisions taken by the technical boards. Of course, in Otto is the CEN CENELEC Management Center is not only the people dealing directly with the standards development process. You have also a team that supports the members and the technical bodies for everything that is related to policy and the communication material, and also for example, for the devising of position papers toward new legislative initiatives from the Commission. And this is the team from of policy and partnership. And then we have a team that is responsible for the research and innovation and the relationship with the external countries like India, Japan, Africa, and as you know, we have agreements with some of those countries. And this is the team related to market perspective and innovation. You have then some more horizontal team, the one on governance and membership, that is led, and this is a new department that has been recently established within the CEN CENELEC Management Center, and is really to deal with membership and governance related aspects, the strategy 2030 that you might be aware that we have recently adopted, and all the legal matters. And of course, there are teams of people that are supporting you also on the more related to finance and contracts with the European Commission, as well as the any related IT matters. This is just a glimpse of the structure of the CEN CENELEC Management Center, but it's important when you get when you have the slide also to see who is sitting where in which department, so that is also easier for you to get in contact with them. But let's move to today's agenda. As we mentioned this morning, is really about the novelties, about what has happened over the last couple of years, and this is what will be covered by my colleague Alberto Simeoni and his team. And then we will move on and we will focus on those, especially those standards that are developed in support of EU policy and legislations, and in particular to support and facilitate their citation in the official journal. And then we finish on this afternoon with sharing best practice and helping TC in drafting resolutions and managing the comments received throughout during the finalization of the standards. So this is just a snapshot of what you will receive as information throughout this the technical body officer seminar. You have also received a link to pre-recorded sessions. If you don't have had the possibility to have a look at it, please do so after this seminar. These are related to the research and innovation, the adoption of the standards by the countries, and the digital transformation key initiatives that have taken place at European level. As I mentioned, don't hesitate after you hear this session to get in touch with us should you have additional questions. And without further ado, I leave the floor to Alberto, who will guide you with the novelties and the recent decisions taken by the CEN CENELEC Technical Board. And I wish you all a very fruitful day. Thank you. Alberto, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Cinzia. Good morning, everyone. I will share my screen. So we start with the novelties in the last 2 years of the rules and process for CEN CENELEC. So there will be a common part, and then there will be a CEN specific only novelties and the CENELEC one. I will be accompanied by my team, Joel Colers and Mirna Vuletic. And basically, we are the people behind the email address bt@cencenelec.eu when you receive information from CCSC on technical related matters. So this is a recap of the main novelties in the rules. Of course, in the technical related matters, since the last PBO meetings, which took place at the end of 2019. So basically, it includes the novelties from January 2020 up to date. As you will know, we launched in April 2020 the flexible standards development process. It was launched in a full pandemic crisis, actually also to be a tool to allow more flexibility for the technical committee and on how to plan the work for each work item. I hope that for all of you is clear what are the principles of the flexible process. We have a specific web page in the BOSS, in the CEN BOSS and in CENELEC BOSS, and we have also recorded some videos with a CEN secretary and the CENELEC secretary in order to accompany you throughout the main steps of the process. And here in this link, you will find the videos for CEN and for CENELEC. The main principle is basically that this dark step here, the A, which is the time from the approval of the work item up to the submission of a draft to inquiry, 3099, and this second dark blue area, which goes from the closure of the inquiry until the submission of the draft for formal vote, they become flexible because before 2020, they were rigid and established in 34 weeks each. Now the TC can decide which duration each of them has to last. That's why the key target dates in order to make it work are the time for dispatching the inquiry draft, 3099, and the date for dispatching the formal draft, 4599. Of course, it is relevant also the dispatch of the first working draft, but basically it is always half the number of the weeks planned under inquiry, so 3099. That's why once you define which date should be here, then you take half time and you will define the first working draft date. What you see on the screen are the improvements in the CEN CENELEC new work item forms in the section for the target dates. We will come back on the new CEN CENELEC new work item forms, but as you can see, we have clarified here also in this section when the flexible process applies, because of course it is mainly for homegrown CEN CENELEC work and also work items in the agreement with CENLEAD. Then we present to the technical boards at the meeting in October some statistics just to see how the technical body officer have used the features of the flexible process. So here on the screen you have how in CENELEC and in CEN the technical body officers, let's say the technical committees, have planned their work for the delivery under 3099. So you will see in the first column that out of 111 work items that were open since April 2020 in CENELEC, only 23 had a duration from the activation of the work item until the inquiry draft, so 3099, of 34 weeks. So basically, only in 21% of the cases, the technical body officer went for the traditional 34 weeks, while they made a great use of the flexibility of the process, because as you can see, they choose a time, a duration over 34 weeks. It is one of the possibilities, or under. So in this case, they went more for a duration less than 34 weeks under inquiry. So basically in 79% of the cases in CENELEC, they have used the flexibility of the new process. In CEN, the situation is different. The technical committees were more conservative. So they prefer in 72% of the cases to keep the 34 weeks of duration. And only in 28% in total of cases, 50% over and 34% under, to use the flexibility of the process. The same goes for the next stage. So from the closure of the inquiry until the delivery of the draft for formal vote, where you can see that, again, in CENELEC, the flexibility has been fully exploited, while in CEN there is still the technical committee preferred to stick to the traditional 34 weeks. It is also this can be also explained by the fact that in CENELEC many homegrown deliverables are basically the European Amendment for Common Modifications from the IC standard that require. I mean, it is easier than developing a brand new standard, and so this would explain why there is a number of weeks which is less than 73%. Another novelty that I want to highlight is that a recent novelty, you know that in order to calculate exactly with all the criteria the target dates for the inquiry and the 4599, so the submission of the formal vote draft, we have developed a flexible time frame calculator, which is available at this page. And this is basically, this can be used by the CENELEC community, because today the calculator is in the working area, so it is available for the TC secretary in CEN, because only CEN PBOs can use a working area. So for the CENELEC community, they can use this calculator for the target dates, but also in CEN, the working group conveners or working group secretary, if any, can use also this calculator in order to prepare a new work item form, then to be given to the CEN TC secretary to be then encoded in the CEN online working area. I suggest that we have questions on the topic. So now I will change topic. I want to know if on the flexible process there are some issues. So I am in the questions. I can see 2 questions. It is great to hear that the processing of standards will be more flexible. The question is, will it not make the whole process too long to the detriment of users? From what we can see, at the moment, the process has not become too long. It is difficult to have a final ideas on the duration, because you see it was launched in full pandemic crisis. And the CEN and CENELEC BT have also took decisions to grant more times before a work item is deleted. For sure, what will happen, also following the advice of our technical board's members, is that we in CCMC will be more strict on those work items that are late, and so they will be cancelled. And we will pay attention the fact that the work items are under mandate or not. So for work items that are intended to be harmonized standards, of course, we will make a distinction. Another question is, although having some experience in the standards process, the dispatch of first working draft procedure and circulation still is not clear to me. Optional or mandatory, where circulated to TC, it is for information or to collect comments. What measures should be used when circulating? What changes are allowed when preparing the inquiry draft? Some TC are managing this in a different way. The working draft is limited working group, and the CD is optional when applied as a CAB with possible comments. We will clarify this for sure. There are discussions in our working group on rules and process, because actually the circulation of the first working draft, which is mandatory, both in CEN and CENELEC, this must become something systematic. Okay, I can go to the next slide. It is important to highlight that in February last year, that the CEN and CENELEC technical boards have approved a series of measures for the simplification of the governance at technical level. And for your information, I think it is important to highlight that there is a clear will to increase the delegation of responsibilities from the technical boards to the technical bodies. You know, in CEN, there are already several cases of delegation of responsibilities, for instance, work items, while in CENELEC and for CEN CENELEC joint technical committees, it is not the case. So basically, the technical boards have to validate many of the decisions taken by the technical bodies, and these will change. Of course, we have some working groups where any decision will be analyzed and evaluated, and then we will try to implement it. Just for you to know, a recent decision on the delegation of responsibilities from the CEN CENELEC, from the CENELEC technical board to the CENELEC technical bodies, is on the decision on the liaison organizations within the technical committees. So when there is an external organizations that would like to participate in the technical work of a specific TC, until yesterday, the TC could recommend, could give the green light for these external organizations to participate, but then the CENELEC technical board had to validate. So final approval from the CENELEC technical board. Now the final approval will be within the CENELEC technical committee. We are working on a similar decision for the CEN CENELEC joint technical committees. It is not yet official. And then it goes with it that also the technical body secretaries, the CEN one, the CENELEC one, and those dealing with the joint technical committees will benefit more of the digital tools that are available. Let me see if there is any question on this. I think this is an old question from Daniel Edlund. Do we know why CENELEC are more likely to be more flexible than CEN? I think there are two main reasons. One reason is the one explained before, where basically many homegrown deliverable in CENELEC refers to European amendments to IC, so the common modifications. And therefore, there is no reason why to fix 34 weeks for drafting, preparing the document to inquiry, and 34 for the formal vote, but this can go faster. A second element is that in CENELEC, the CCM CPMs have a deeper support to the technical committees, while in CEN TC, the TC secretary comes from the NSB staff. And this made that having the PMs in CCMC supporting the CENELEC technical committees, they have promoted the use of flexible timeframes. Then I have a question regarding the liaison. My TC is currently improving a test method. It appears that ISTM is at the same time revising the same method. To what extent is it possible to liaise and exchange best practice in benefits for the ISTM? We have a cooperation with the ISTM within some specific areas, and the technical boards are evaluating this cooperation, whether to extend it also to other areas or to take another decision. It is still under evaluation. ISTM is a specific, is a particular case. Okay, an important decision that has been taken by the CEN and CEN technical boards is that when a technical committee requests to remove the link to legislation, this must be, there must be a clear BT decision in order to confirm this. And then there is a different the CEN technical board, this will be by weighted vote. In CENELEC will be regular consultation, but this is a matter just for your information, because it is a rule within the CEN and CENELEC technical board. And of course, if the BT takes the final decision to remove the links to legislation from a standard, then we have to inform DC if there is a standard that is a cited on the official journal, and for which instead the new version has been published, but without the link to legislation. So we have to inform the European Commission. Question from Emmanuel Leboeuf. Thanks. Yesterday, another webinar, IT tools in the CEN CENELEC environment, has been displayed. I had lost the time slot. Is it possible to have the copy of the webinar?
Yes, I will send that later today. I did not have time yesterday, but that is of course foreseen. Every single webinar we had yesterday and today will be shared with the participants.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you. Sorry for intervening. I thought that was
no.
good for me to reply.
Okay, from Susan, what is the procedure if ETC will active the link later? So you mean that a new work item will become, let's say, is intended to become an harmonized standard? I think it is a decision. But I always please ask you, when you ask questions, always specify if you are a CEN or CENELEC. Then just in the process of the standards development for homegrown standards, just for you to know that the timing, the duration of the editing period, so it is the B that you see here in the process for standards development, is back to 5 weeks, and also the translation, the 5-week translation period has been moved before the prior to the formal vote. This is already reflected in the graph for standard process of homegrown standards that is used also for the flexible process. Okay, question from Cristiano Ali. CEN, if a standard cited in the official journal is superseded by another standard not harmonized, CEN will publish both documents and both of them are in force. So if the cited standard is superseded by a new standard, that standard for us will be withdrawn. And of course, this is the worst scenario, where basically the cited standard official journal is still cited. The new updated standard has been published, but not accepted by the European Commission. So we have an obsolete standard, which is cited, and a new standard, which reflects the state of the art, which is in our portfolio, but is not cited. So CEN will publish both documents, means that CEN will publish the new document, will withdraw the previous one, but of course then the Commission has to be informed. However, after this session, there will be a session for harmonized standards. So this will go in detail on questions on harmonized standards. And also here at CCMC, there is a BT working group, so with some BT members, which is BT working group 12 on harmonized standards. And they've been working a lot in order to assist the technical bodies with means and tools, interpretations, in order to have a successful assessment and by the consultant, and therefore a citation of the standards, and they have developed a checklist. So you as TBOs, you have to ensure that the checklist is filled out and submitted to CMC with a draft candidate harmonious standards and their supporting document justifications where relevant. Also, this part will be covered in the next presentation. Then we had several new rules regarding the joint technical committees. Of course, we have more and more joint technical committees of CENELEC because you know that the economy is cross horizontal now. It's different to only think of silos well defined between sectors. And that's why we have a number of joint technical committees have been created recently. This is a clarification on the rules for creating joint technical committees, but this is for the CEN and CENELEC technical boards. So it is here just for your information. So there will be a weighted vote, 12 weeks consultation, and then at least 5 countries they need to commit to participate. If there is a difference of outcome in CEN and CENELEC, because the voting are separate, then the proposal for creation is brought to the common session for solution. There is also a decision regarding the reports from the CEN CENELEC joint technical committees. They have to be circulated to both BTs, but it will be for information in CEN, because you know that also the CEN TC report basically are not submitted to the CEN technical board, while in CENELEC, the CENELEC TC have to submit their report to the CENELEC technical board. And that's why in CENELEC, the JTC report needs to be submitted for decision. So there will be a decision in the technical board. And there is a specific template is available on both. Here you have the reference for the JTC report, which is basically a simplified report. A business plan for the CEN CENELEC joint technical committee, it is optional, but of course, if it is developed, if it is prepared, it must be approved by both CEN and CENELEC technical boards. Also, there is a clarification on the rule regarding the exceptional technical changes after formal vote for deliverable prepared by the CEN CENELEC JTC. So there was a need for clarification. Basically, you know that when a JTC is created, there is a member holding the secretariat, and the member can be a CEN member or a CENELEC member. And then you have to pay attention to who has the lead on the specific work item. So in a joint technical committees with the secretariat of a CENELEC member, these joint technical committees can develop a work item under, for instance, a CEN lead. So, and attention is to be paid to these elements, especially when activating these exceptional technical changes after formal vote. In this case, the BT member or permanent delegates of the NSB-NC holding the secretariat shall send the request for exceptional technical changes to the VP technical of the organization having the work item lead. I think this is quite clear. The transmission notice for standard to be cited is ambiguous in a choice mentioning new approach. Citation as the construction sector is not under the approach. Therefore, should this be thick for a candidate? Okay, please keep the questions on the harmonized standards for the next session. Then there are also a process for inclusion of anomalous deliverables when publishing our deliverables. And so anomalous deliverables means that the publication has also files different from Word PDF. So it could be XML or could be Excel. And so there is a procedure where basically the technical body submits a request with support justification to the technical board. Then the project is put on hold. because the technical board will look for an advice of the Joint Commercial Advisory Group, and also the DITSAG, which is our platform, CEN CENELEC platform regarding the digital transformation project, which are consulted, and then before BT takes a decision. And of course, if then the decision is, so after the advice and the BT decision, it is up to CCMC to follow up and uploads the file as necessary. You will have noticed that as 1st of July 2021, the CEN CENELEC deliverables, so the ENS, TR, and TS, also those from the CEN CENELEC technical committees, in European forward, they contain the sentence here in red, which is basically to give some indication to the customer, the public, if they have any feedback and questions, to whom to forward their questions. And so, of course, you know that the relationship with the customers is at the national level, and that's why you have this standardized sentence saying that any feedback and questions on this document should be directed to the user's national committee. A complete list of these bodies can be found on the CEN CENELEC website. So this is an example for CENELEC, but you just change National Committee in NSB and CENELEC into CEN website, and you have the same sentence for the CEN documents. And of course, for the CEN CENELEC one, the sentence will change. So the National Committees becomes NSB/National Committees, and the reference is made to the CEN and CENELEC website. And now I give the floor to Joëlle Colers, and she will tell you about the novelties in the CEN processes. Thank you. I see there are no other questions for the time being. There are several questions on the harmonized standards. Please, they will be addressed in the next presentation. Please, Joëlle.
Okay, thank you, Alberto. We can go on to the first slide, please. Next, please. Yes. This one is not really a novelty for CEN only. It's a reminder of quite an old rule about all work items of a technical committee should be allocated to a working group. This was taken in 2007. We're just reminding all TC secretaries to check their work program and see whether, except in certain particular cases, of course, the well-identified ones under Vienna Agreement, ISO lead to try and allocate these correctly. Next, please. Right, the managing of subgroups of technical committee working groups on the CEN documents platform has been raised. The CEN documents platform will be going live. Well, the migration will take place within the year to come. And the question of fourth level groups under working groups was raised. However, the rule remains that they may not be formally created on the same level as a subcommittee or a working group. Now, it's recognized that in many cases, a subgroup in working groups is necessary. These can be created as temporary groups under the working group, only if a new working group is not appropriate. So that's the first consideration, a new working group. However, should a subgroup be created, it must remain transparent. All documents, the membership, etc., must remain accessible to the parent working group, and the membership may only consist of members of the working group itself. And of course, reporting to the parent working group remains a must. Next, please. There's also been a new TC decision delegated to the technical committee, which up till recently was taken by the technical board. A TC had to request the technical board for the registration or adoption of an ISO technical specification or technical report as a CEN technical report or specification under Vienna Agreement. This now can be part of the new work item proposal in the form under section 3. So it's delegated to the TC, no longer need for BT approval. It's a positive shortcut and a simplification, of course. Next, please. Right, committee internal balloting, the duration. Until last year, there was no real duration set as such. In the technical board, upon request, discussed whether a strict time frame was needed. However, it was recognized that there should be some flexibility. So the recommended time frame for a CIB is 4 weeks, except of course for new work item proposals or the activation of a preliminary work item. There it's 2 months. So this duration for CIB may be shortened by the secretariat of the technical committee in consultation with the chair and the responsible working group convener. With a justification, it can be shortened to 2 weeks, not less than 2 weeks. And of course, there should be no objection from an NSB for this. An extension of the time frame is also possible, but there upon special request of one of the national standards bodies, and this has to be justified. Next, please.
Joel, there is a question.
Yes.
Maybe I can answer. From Benny Dresbeck. Problem, a new work item proposal is approved by 5 countries. The experts that are willing to participate in a lot of countries have to pay a fee to the NSB. The experts are willing to spend their time for the drafting, but are not prepared to pay for work that are doing for free. Is it possible to proceed with those experts behind the scene without they are officially registered? Participating on standardization should be free of charge. Well, I think Benny, this is a question regarding the business model of the NSB, and this is not a question for CEN CENELEC for sure. Of course, we cannot let participate anyone behind the scene. It is up to the NSB to decide on the business model at the national level, and yeah, in several cases, the income of the NSBs come from, for instance, the membership fees that allow experts to participate in the work. So for sure, it is not possible to let this expert work behind the scene. Sorry, Joel.
Thank you, Alberto. The next one, again, is regarding the committee internal balloting reference documents. So a decision was taken that all CIBs shall be accompanied by a reference document, the structured N-numbered document. This is for completeness and clarity. Examples of such a reference document is the new work item proposal form or draft decision. of the technical committee. For more information, there's guidance on the CEN bus. Thank you. Right, initiation of amendments and revisions of ENs. Until recently, there was no structured way in which a TC decision should be taken. Now it's been decided that a TC decision to initiate this should be taken by correspondence, a 2-month CIB, and also based on a completed new work item proposal form. That's very important. There's got to be the new work item proposal form. And for a new work item initiating an amendment or revision which does not modify the scope of the EN, this is by simple majority vote. But if the scope of the EN is modified, this is, of course, by weighted voting. And the 5 members rule still applies here. Thank you. The new work item proposal form has recently been revised by the technical board and is to be implemented as from early next year, January. It's, there's a couple of improvements, namely clarifying parts such as the target dates for the flexible process. And then there's also been the addition of United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, the famous SDGs. Very important is to use only the new work item proposal form generated from project's online working area for the drafting of the decision for the ballot. This is to make sure, of course, that the latest new work item proposal form is used. So, thank you, Alberto.
I see there is a question.
Yes.
When members miss to apply during the CIB, but confirm after by a message, can they be included after CIB regarding the 5 members rules? It's not clear, the question. When members miss to apply during the CIB, but confirm after by a message, can they be included?
After CIB.
Okay, yes. So I guess means that a member miss to highlight his interest in participating. They can be included after the CIB regarding the 5 member rules. So Joel, what we do when the CIB is in CEN, when the new work item form, when we show the result, if the 5 member rules is not respected, it goes to CEN-BT.
Yes, in particular, in some cases where it's essential that there's a revision or an amendment, CEN-BT is requested to approve going forward. So, and in most cases, it's very seldom that BT won't accept. So I guess, yes, it's worthwhile still joining in and volunteering. Yes. Because it would give more weight.
So question from Per-Olof Svensson, how come for CEN and subcommittee does not have mandate to make decisions, only recommendations? It slows the work process down quite a bit. As for ISO, as subcommittee has the same decision-taking mandate as it is. Yeah, in CEN, a subcommittee is reports to the technical committee, and its technical committee taking decisions. Taking decisions, for where they have delegated decisions from BT. However, also the creation of subcommittees is strongly limited and restricted. Subcommittees you have today basically come from the past. Now the direction is for technical committee to be then structured in working groups where actually work, the technical work. Okay.
Yes, this is an information regarding the revised new work item form. So within a few days, the recordings will be available on the CEN website next week.
Yes, we have still some questions, so Joel. So if a new work item proposal for a merger of two standards is initiated, an ISO standard and a CEN standard, and the results show that on CEN there are 5 experts willing to participate at an ISO level not, what happens with a CEN work item that is formally approved? Marlene, this is a very specific question. Can we take these after the meeting? Thank you. Maya Buntrock, may I add the question of Bernard? When the 5th active member comes in late, may I accept the work item? May I accept the work item? We should see case by case. What do you mean exactly? I think it is possible, but it is difficult to answer like this. Annemiek Venemans, CEN, in addition to the question from Bernard Schnaffer, in my thesis we take a decision amending, I guess, the CIB results with the extra active members. Is that illegal? It is, these questions are interesting. After our presentation, there is a presentation on harmonized standards, and the other one regarding main TC secretary decision or resolutions. I think it is interesting for you to have these questions there, so where you can have an exchange at, I would say, operational level. So please keep these questions for the last session of today. And as you can see, as Joel also mentioned, on the new work item forms, there will be recordings available on the CEN website. And of course, we will prepare recordings also for the CENELEC website on the CENELEC new work item.
Alberto, there's just one more question. Shall all work items under VA with ISO lead be allocated to a working group? No, that's an exceptional case, which not necessarily be allocated to a working group. I think that's one of the exceptions.
Thank you, Joel.
Thank you.
Okay. Annemiek, my standards are not, I think in the session today, after the one on harmonized standards, we'll focus on PC secretary resolutions. So we can cover this topic on adding a late member in the last session of today. Okay, thank you, Joel. I think there is another comment to respond to the question. For your information, when a vote on the new work item proposal does not reach the required number of 5 countries to participate, if an additional member who voted positively agrees to nominate experts, the TC decision can be registered that the conditions are fulfilled to approve the new work item, even if not in the result of the online balloting platform. So thank you, Aline Vecchia, for this information. I think it replies to the doubts regarding the late members in any work item. Okay, then I think we can go to the presentation for the CENELEC only, and I welcome Mirna Vuletic. Hi, Mirna, please, the floor is yours.
So, next slide, please. Yeah. So for CENELEC, what's changed in the last 2 years is, for example, the principles of the ratification, what we had. So the process is clear that the default ratification is 5 weeks after the closure of the formal vote. The project is automatically ratified, and that triggers all the implementation dates. Now it might happen that in some cases, after the standard has been voted upon positively, there are some events that says, oh, wait, we cannot publish our standard, it is not ready for publication. In that case, that should be managed by exception, and the project is stopped. If the project is stopped prior to ratification, so before 5 weeks after the closure of the formal vote, the ratification is on hold, and the project is kind of parked in a specific stage code until a BT decision is taken, or a solution is found on how to proceed. If the project is stopped after the ratification, so the project is ratified because the ratification is automatic. However, the date of availability will not be triggered until CCMC makes the document available. So any issues preventing the publication by CCMC shall be submitted by the TC to CCMC timely, which means 5 weeks after the closure of the formal vote, in order to allow a decision by the BT on the way forward, not later than 12 weeks after the closure of the formal vote. And so projects not ratified and parked in the above mentioned stage code will be reported to BT on a monthly basis. Next, please. So TC reports to BT. Already years ago, there was a decision taken that the TC shall submit the report after they meet. The CENELEC TCs shall submit the reports after their meeting 8 weeks after the meeting to CCMC. Now, if the TC report is not in the right format or does not contain clear and appropriate information, CCMC shall send it back to the TC secretary for improvement with the relevant permanent delegate in copy. A TC report will be considered as received by CCMC only when all elements are available for its processing to BT. And there is a specific template to be used for the report to BT, and it is available on the CENELEC BOSS, and you have a hyperlink there that gives you a direct link to the report. Next, please. The review of TC Liaison and Observership. In order to ensure a transparency and a clear view of existing liaisons and alike between CEN, CENELEC, and/or ETSI technical bodies, a specific field in the templates for TC meeting agenda and TC report to BT has been added. And the technical bodies should systematically report on the liaisons and observers by identifying the technical body organization liaisons. Is it incoming or outgoing liaison officer? What is the mode of cooperation between those liaisons? Is there a specific field of cooperation, and what would be the envisaged duration of the liaison? And also the technical body should also ensure that appropriate reporting is performed by the liaison officers. Next. On CIV, best practice. So for some time now, we have also in CENELEC the CIV, which stands for Committee Internal Voting, that is used in the technical body. A CIV is created by the technical body secretary. The technical body secretary shall create and link the supporting document to a CIV. So whenever a CIV is created, there should be a supporting document. That supporting document needs to be uploaded on the collaboration platform. And if there are questions, any question from the CIV have to be also reproduced in that document that is on the collaboration tool. That is in order to allow our members and the voters in the TC to share the document with their stakeholders in order to give a proper reply. A minimum time frame for a CIV is 4 weeks, which means that it can be longer, but it cannot be shorter. And there is also a document on BOSS that gives you more information on how it works. Next, please.
Yes, Miriam, there was a question
okay,
on the previous item regarding the liaison observership in a technical committee.
I don't see that.
Yes, I took it privately, but I think Judith, feel free to maybe clarify exactly what you mean. The question was, what shall a T secretary do when the liaison officer cannot be found? I don't know if maybe Judith, if you could further elaborate your question, we will take it. We'll come back and take it.
Yeah, we are there. So the extension of...
Here we go, sorry. So
okay.
Judith, we have liaisons where the liaison officer step back. So the idea is to have this review of liaison to see if these liaisons are real, are correctly registered. When we say step back, means that the liaison officer representative does not participate or does not respond. In that case, what the technical body secretary has to do is to identify that that representative can participate in the technical work because there is an agreement with CENELEC. Has no time anymore, is not willing to be officer anymore. Okay, I see. Well, in that case, I guess that the observership status can be withdrawn, but of course this must be put on paper. Otherwise, the liaison will be theoretical, but then no one participates. It doesn't make really sense. Also because if we consider the liaison according Guide 25, the external organizations has to pay a fee every year for each TC they intend to participate as a liaison.
And of course, that needs to be reported to BT. So that needs to be part of the report to BT. That kind of situation.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Judith. I think we can go ahead here.
Yeah. So the TC proofing period is extended by 2 additional weeks during the holiday period. So holiday period means from 15 June till 15 August, and in December, so the whole month of December, are extended by 2 more weeks, which means, for example, that usually is like 4 weeks or 5 weeks. The usual process, if it is 4 weeks, it will be extended by default 2 weeks during those holiday periods. And that was implemented since 15th of June to 2021. Thank you. Next. So information of interested technical bodies in a document. This is a practice that is already in place in IEC, and in CENELEC it will also be, it will become a practice in CENELEC too. There is a possibility for CENELEC technical bodies to indicate whether other other technical bodies could be potentially interested in the work. That information needs to come from the TC secretaries, from the technical body secretaries, and is provided in the European forward when a document is circulated to procedures. So be it in the for inquiry, for formal vote, and also this is a field that is also included in the new work item form. In future, that information will also be included in the LT letter, so the letter accompanying the draft, but for that we need an IT development. Next, please. Then in CENELEC, we also reviewed the new work item proposal form. It was improved, especially regarding the target dates for flexible process. There was also an addition of a part on United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. And also, as I said, a field to add a potentially interested TCs when developing a work item. This revised new work item form will be implemented as of 10th of January 2022. And soon a recording will be available on the CENELEC website, explaining the different fields and how they need to be filled in. Next. Now in CENELEC, we have first delegated decision from BT to technical body in the frame of simplification. And that first delegated decision is on the participation of liaison or partner organization in technical bodies. So there is a process that was specified. So CCMC will assess within 1 week the request from the interested European organization to participate in CENELEC technical body as a liaison organization. Then the technical body secretary has to submit a draft decision by correspondence via a 4-week CIV within the concerned technical body using a draft decision template. So there will be a draft decision template available on BOSS today or tomorrow. And so you have to fill in that draft decision template. You have to circulate it by correspondence, and the use of a CIV is mandatory, and it needs to be the duration of the CIV needs to be 4 weeks. The participation then is approved by the technical body if following conditions are met. So if there is a simple majority and absence of sustained opposition against the applicant, that has to be provided in writing by the opposer. And then the technical body secretary has to communicate the decision to CCMC via this email address, which is partners@cencenelec.eu. It means that the decision to allow a partner organization to participate in the technical body work is taken by the TC itself and not by BT anymore. Of course, if there are issues, it will come to the BT. And also, BT has the right to appeal against any decision of the TC. Next, please. Matrix of responsibilities. It is Matrix of Responsibilities is a document that gives details on the tasks for technical body officers, conveners, and experts on the development of harmonized standards. The objective of that matrix is to facilitate citation of standards. In CENELEC, the matrix concentrates only on ENIC standards, ENIC harmonized standards. CENELEC technical body officers are invited to start to apply the matrix. And if you have any feedback or any proposal for improvement, you can send those by end January 2022 to us, to CCMC, and the use of this matrix will be mandatory as of 1st of March 2022. But I think that you will have more information about the use in the next session. Thank you. What's coming next? I give the floor to Alberto again for this part.
Yes, thank you. So for next year, we will further implement the measures for the simplification of the governance. We will look in particular on how to increase the delegation from the board, from the technical boards to the technical bodies. A new edition of Interregulatory Regulation Part 2 will be published in 2022 with the main changes regarding the clarification on the coordination groups, focus groups, and sector fora, which has the Annex G of IR2. The addition of the committees in the function of the CENELEC reporting secretariat, reclarification on the start of the standstill, clarification renumbering of the clause on the when to use the weighted vote 614, clarifications of aid deviations, which is a very sensitive matter, and then the improvement regarding the CWA. A new edition of Interregulation Part 3 is under drafting. And then our IT department is working on the possibility to grant to the CEN-TC working groups the possibility to carry out consultations via the CEN e-ballot, kind of CIB, but for working groups. This would facilitate the consultation among working group experts for recommendations to the parent body, to the technical committee, for collecting written advice and contributions. And of course, it is not for working group vote, because working group do not vote. And will be organized ad hoc webinars when decided, when this decision will be, when this implementation will be effective, of course, to explain you how to use it. And I think we are at the end of this session. We wait, we see in the chat if there are additional questions. It seems it is not the case. Then else, I hand it over to you.
Yes, thank you very much, Alberto, and Mirna and Joël, of course, as well. We have planned indeed a small coffee break as of 10:35, so we still have a few minutes. Should people still have questions, they are free to enter these questions. I would just like to remind all the attendees, first of all, that the presentation and the full recording of today's seminar will be shared with them afterwards, maybe not today, but the coming days. In addition, we will make a Q&A report also available so that you can look back at your personal questions and find back the answers. You will be notified when that is available, of course.